What if I told you that most of what you're chasing right now is actually running from you, not because you're unlucky, not because you're cursed, but because you're thinking in a way that quietly repels the very things you say you want? There is a reason some people seem to attract success, confidence, love, respect, and opportunities almost effortlessly, and it's not because they know a secret ritual, it's because they follow a mental code that most people ignore. And if you stay with me, you're going to understand why everything hasn't aligned for you yet, and more importantly, how to shift that starting today. The first Stoic rule is brutal but freeing: control what is yours and detach from what is not, because most frustration is born from trying to command what was never under your authority. You cannot control timing, you cannot control other people's reactions, you cannot control whether someone sees your value immediately, but you can control your preparation, your standards, your effort, and your response. The moment you stop fighting reality and start directing yourself, something changes. Your energy stops leaking into complaints and starts flowing into creation. Ask yourself right now, what do I say I want, and how much of my daily effort is actually aligned with that? Be honest, because honesty is where power begins. When your focus becomes disciplined, opportunities don't magically appear, you simply become capable of recognizing and seizing them. And most people never realize that the door was open the entire time, they just never built the courage to walk through it. Stay with me, because the second rule is where most people sabotage everything without even knowing it. Here's the uncomfortable truth: it's not your goals that are hurting you, it's your attachment to them. Rule 2 is to train your desire, because uncontrolled desire makes you desperate, and desperation pushes things away faster than rejection ever could. You say you want success, but do you want the discipline that comes with it? You say you want love, but do you want the vulnerability and patience it demands? You say you want respect, but do you want the consistency and restraint that earn it? The Stoics understood something most modern minds forget: wanting something is natural, needing it to validate you is dangerous. When you need a specific outcome to feel worthy, you start acting from fear, and fear clouds judgment, weakens decisions, and creates tension that others can feel. But when you desire calmly and commit fully to the effort instead of obsessing over the result, you become steady. And steadiness is powerful, because people trust it, life rewards it, and pressure does not break it. Imagine pursuing your goals without anxiety choking you. Imagine wanting deeply but not panicking when things move slowly. That is where manifestation actually begins, in emotional control, not emotional chaos. And the next rule is what turns the control into unstoppable momentum. Rule 3 is fall in love with the process so deeply that outcomes become a byproduct instead of an obsession. Most people are addicted to results. They want the applause, the money, the transformation, but they resist the repetition that creates it. And this is why their progress feels random and fragile, because it depends on mood, inspiration, or perfect conditions. But the Stoic mindset is different. It says your job is to show up, your job is to do the work, your job is to keep your word to yourself even when nobody is watching. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will always be negotiating with your comfort. But if you act because it is your duty to your future self, you become reliable, and reliability compounds into power. Choose one daily action that aligns with the person you want to become and protect it like it's sacred. Not dramatic, not extreme, just consistent. Because consistency removes luck from the equation. And when results start showing up again and again, people call it destiny, but it was discipline quietly stacking in the background. And what I'm about to tell you next is the rule that separates those who build real strength from those who quit when it gets uncomfortable. Rule 4 is deliberately walk toward discomfort instead of running from it. The life you want is almost always sitting behind the exact thing you keep postponing: the hard conversation, the focused work, the early morning discipline, the uncomfortable growth. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they interpret discomfort as a signal to stop. But discomfort is often the signal that you are expanding. The Stoics would practice voluntary hardship, not because suffering is glamorous, but because it weakens fear. When you prove to yourself that you can survive awkwardness, rejection, difficulty, and fatigue without collapsing, your confidence becomes internal instead of conditional. And once your confidence is internal, external events lose their power over your peace. Think about it. What would your life look like if you stopped avoiding the one thing that scares you most right now? What doors would open if you built the courage to act anyway? Because every time you choose growth over comfort, you raise your standards. And when your standards rise, your environment is forced to change. And the final rule in this section is what ensures you don't drift back into old habits once you've built momentum. Rule 5 is examine your life daily, because an unexamined pattern will quietly control your future. Most people live on autopilot, repeating behaviors, repeating excuses, repeating emotional reactions, and then wondering why nothing changes. The Stoics ended each day with reflection, not to criticize themselves, but to refine themselves. Ask yourself 3 questions every night. What did I do well that I should continue? What did I do poorly that I must correct? And what is one small adjustment I will make tomorrow? This simple practice builds awareness, and awareness is power. Because once you can see your patterns clearly, you can interrupt them. And that interruption is where transformation begins. Imagine catching yourself before procrastination takes over. Imagine correcting your tone before anger damages a relationship. Imagine choosing discipline before comfort steals another day. Small corrections repeated daily shift the direction of your entire life. From the outside, it will look like everything suddenly aligned for you. But you will know the truth. It was built quietly, through control, restraint, discipline, courage, and reflection. And we're only halfway through the rules that can change everything. Rule 6 is to rehearse loss before life forces it on you, because the person who is never prepared to lose becomes a prisoner of fear. The Stoics used a practice called imagining setbacks, not to be negative, but to become unshakable. Picture the thing you're afraid of right now, the rejection, the delay, the mistake, the criticism, the plan failing, and notice what your mind does. Most people panic because their brain treats discomfort like a disaster, and that panic makes them quit too early, lash out, or cling harder. But if you can calmly say, even if this happens, I will still act with dignity and keep building, you take power away from fear. When you expect life to be easy, every obstacle feels personal, but when you accept obstacles as normal, you stop collapsing when they arrive. This changes everything, because you start moving with a quiet confidence that does not depend on perfect conditions. You stop postponing your goals until you feel ready, because you understand readiness is created through action, not waiting. And here's the part people don't see: when you're no longer terrified of losing, you become bold in a way that attracts opportunities. Because life rewards the person who can take a hit and keep their posture. Stay with me, because the next rule is what turns your attention into a weapon instead of a weakness. Rule 7 is guard your mind like a fortress, because whatever enters your mind long enough becomes your personality. You can't claim you want a strong life while feeding your brain weakness every day, through endless negativity, cheap distractions, gossip, comparison, and constant noise. The Stoics were serious about mental diet, because your thoughts are not harmless, they are instructions your nervous system follows. So pay attention to what you consume, the videos you binge, the people you listen to, the way you speak to yourself when nobody is around. If you keep repeating, I'm behind, I'm unlucky, I'm not built for this, your mind will obey that script, and then you'll call the results reality. Replace that script with something stronger and more truthful. I can handle difficulty, I can learn, I can improve, I can stay consistent. This isn't fake positivity, it's leadership. It's choosing language that produces action instead of paralysis. Your attention is your most valuable asset, because whatever you focus on expands, not by magic, but by repetition and pattern recognition. If you focus on problems all day, you will notice more problems, and you will feel smaller. If you focus on actions and solutions, you will notice openings, and you will feel capable. And the next rule is the one that makes your life feel cleaner, lighter, and strangely more lucky, because it cuts the hidden weight you've been carrying. Rule 8 is stop carrying insults and stop collecting grudges, because nothing delays your progress like emotional baggage. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste replaying conversations, proving a point in their head, or waiting for someone to finally understand them. The Stoics saw this clearly: your peace is worth more than your pride. When you hold on to anger, you give the other person a permanent home inside your mind, and they don't even pay rent. So practice letting go, not because what happened was okay, but because your future deserves your full attention. This is hard, because the ego loves revenge and the ego loves being right, but being right doesn't build the life you want. What builds the life you want is clarity, focus, and emotional self-control. Forgiveness in the Stoic sense is not approval, it's release. It's deciding you won't keep bleeding for something that already happened. And when you release that weight, you suddenly have energy again, you sleep better, you think clearer, you take action faster. People call that alignment, but it's simply what happens when you stop poisoning your own mind. And the next rule is going to sound simple, but if you apply it, it will change how people treat you and how you see yourself. Rule 9 is speak and act with integrity, because your self-image is built from your smallest decisions. Every time you lie to yourself, every time you break your word, every time you say, tomorrow, when you know you won't, you damage trust with the most important person in your life, you. And when you don't trust yourself, you feel anxious, you doubt your ability, you hesitate, and you start looking for external reassurance. The Stoic solution is to keep promises, especially the small ones, because small promises create big identity. If you say you'll wake up early, do it. If you say you'll study for 1 hour, do it. If you say you'll stop texting that person who drains you, stop. This is not about perfection, it's about becoming someone you can respect. And when you respect yourself, you naturally raise your standards, you stop accepting less, you stop chasing validation. People can feel it, they might not explain it, but they treat you differently when you carry yourself like your word matters. And the next rule is the one that protects you from the most dangerous trap of all, the trap that makes people almost successful forever. Rule 10 is practice patience like a warrior, because impatience is the fastest way to quit on the edge of a breakthrough. Most people underestimate how long real change takes, so they work for a week, see nothing, and decide it's not working. But Stoicism teaches a different timeline. It teaches you to measure progress by your discipline, not by quick results. Patience is not waiting lazily, it's working consistently while time does its job. A tree doesn't grow because it believes, it grows because it is watered, it is rooted, and it survives seasons. Your goals are the same, they require repeated effort and calm endurance through boring days and slow weeks. And here's the secret: the moment you stop demanding instant proof, you become consistent, and consistency is what creates the proof. So if your life hasn't changed yet, don't panic. Ask yourself a better question: have I truly stayed consistent long enough to deserve the outcome? If the answer is no, then that's good news, because it means you're not broken, you're simply early. And if you stay with this mindset, your life starts to bend in your favor, not because it's magical, but because you became unbreakable. You made it to the end, and if you're still here, it means something in you is already changing. Because most people don't fail from lack of knowledge, they fail from a lack of endurance. They hear ideas, they feel a spark, and then they go back to the same habits that were destroying them. So before you click away, I want you to understand this clearly: Stoicism doesn't promise that life will be easy, it promises that you won't be fragile. And that's the real manifestation, not that the world magically gives you what you want, but that you become the kind of person who can build it, keep it, and protect it. Think about what the 10 rules really did. They didn't give you a wish, they gave you a structure. Control what you can, train your desire, commit to process, accept discomfort, Review yourself, rehearse setbacks, guard your mind, drop the weight, keep your word, and stay patient. That is a full system for becoming someone life can't easily break. And when you become that person, you start noticing something almost scary. You don't need perfect timing anymore, you create timing. You don't need motivation every day, you have standards. You don't need people to understand you, you understand yourself. You don't need quick results to stay consistent, you can work in silence without panicking. And that's the moment your life starts shifting, because you stop living like a visitor in your own future, and you start living like the architect. So here's the real question, not, do you believe in manifestation, but, are you willing to become the person who makes it inevitable? Because wanting is easy, everyone wants. The rare thing is staying steady when the excitement fades, staying disciplined when nobody is watching, staying calm when the world tries to pull you into chaos. And if you do that, you will wake up one day and realize you're standing inside a life you used to daydream about. Not because the universe finally chose you, but because you finally chose yourself every day. So don't try to change everything tonight, don't overload your mind and disappear tomorrow. Choose one rule, just one, and apply it like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. And then tomorrow, apply it again, and again, until it becomes you. Because once it becomes you, you won't have to chase what you want, your actions will pull it towards you. And when you look back, it won't feel like magic, it will feel like alignment. The kind of alignment you earned, the kind of alignment nobody can take away.